Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Sandeman Street podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. I'm Andrew and today I'm joined by my regular co-host Jack. Jack, how are you?
Good, mate, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Nice. I would say I was being nice and refreshed, but I was on holiday in New York and all you do is walk around. So I think I need a holiday after my holiday, in all honesty.
I think that's normal, eh?
Yeah, it's a good time with Sud though, and it was good that I missed the Dundee game as well. So every cloud is a silver lining, as they say. Before we get into episode 19, this week's episode, as usual, the weekly plug for our socials. If you have Instagram, could you give us a follow on that? It is at the Sandeman Street Pod. That is at the Sandeman Street Pod, all lowercase. If you have Twitter, it's not X, it's Twitter. We are at Sandeman ST Pod. That is at Sandeman ST Pod. And if you listen to us on YouTube, could you like our video, subscribe to our channel, give us a comment, all that jazz. Jack, United on Sunday, should I say, Sunday afternoon, away at league leaders Hearts at Tynecastle, and they come away with a credible 1-1 draw. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a good result. Obviously, we got 3 goals chopped off. All rightly chopped off. They were all offside, but it's still disappointing. You kind of, if you create the chances to score 3 goals and have them chopped off, then you're hoping for maybe a bit more out of the game. But look, Hearts have been playing really well this year, and although I don't think they've been great against us, they seem to be getting results elsewhere. But it's a good result. Away from home at Tynecastle with the fans on top, yeah, it's always a difficult place to go. But you've got to take it when you can, and ultimately it's another point for us. Ideally, you get the win, but we don't. But it helps us. It gives us more points, and at least it's not a defeat.
I have to say I've not actually seen the highlights of the United game, which is obviously poor from myself when I'm going to be doing this, but from what I've heard, it sounded like the perfect, horrible Jim Goodwin away performance.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I've never seen all the highlights. I've seen the highlights. I've never seen the whole game, so I can't say much about the actual performance. But that wouldn't surprise me.
I seen that McInnes was moaning, saying that there was only 3 minutes of injury time at the end of the second half, and he was saying that if it was a Celtic or Rangers team who were 1-1 and they were needing a goal, that they would have got far longer than 3 minutes. And there's 2 things I thought when I heard that. One, he's absolutely correct, and 2, I absolutely guarantee you that United have had their physio on about 5 times in the second half.
Probably.
Yeah. But Lucas Stevenson was it with the goal, taught me through it.
It was a corner, set piece. Ball's drilled in to the back post. Stevenson's completely unmarked. Heads it back across goal. Keeper gets a touch at it, but not enough to stop it, and it just goes in the back of the net. Savell kind of touches the keeper. I think a few Hearts fans maybe thought it might have been a foul, but I don't see it. But yeah, it's a simple enough goal to score, really. It's quite poor defender from Hearts. But you take them every day.
And you were saying that United have had 3 goals disallowed for it. Was all 3 of them were for offside?
Yeah, all 3 by Sapsford. The first one, he's quite clearly offside. Second one's a bit closer. Does really well, actually. Nutmegs the boy and slots into the back of the net. Offside. And then, slots it across for Fata to score, sorry. But it's ruled offside. And then last one's very clearly offside again. But yeah, obviously getting in the positions, just got to time his runs better.
So if obviously United are having these goals disallowed, from an outsider looking in, you're seeing Hearts 1, United 1. I mean, United haven't been in any mugs this season by any stretch, but Hearts have obviously been flying. You would have thought, seeing that scoreline without any background to it, that it would have been a bit of an onslaught from Hearts second half, maybe towards the end of the second half. But if United are having 3 goals disallowed, then obviously that isn't kind of the full picture of the game. I mean, what was the feeling that you would have got from watching the highlights? Was it here and there, like two and fro, or was it Hearts dominating the last few minutes of the match? Like, what do you reckon?
From what the highlights showed, it looked like quite an even game, mate. I don't think there was many clear chances, but it did seem to be an end-to-end game where both teams were getting highlights. And obviously United had the three chopped off. Hearts had a couple of chances as well. Keeper makes a good save. Kucherenko makes a good save. He also scores an own goal. That's his second own goal of the season. To be fair, there's nothing he could do about it. Takes a deflection off the post and hits off his back. Yeah, there's nothing you could do about that. But it didn't seem like Hearts created many chances like United, but from what I heard, it was an entertaining game of football.
Yeah, I must say that when I seen that it was a Kucherenko OG when I was checking the scores, I thought to myself, I wonder what he's up to now. But if it's hit off his back after hitting the post, there's not too much a goalie can do about that. I think we kind of discussed it slightly on at the time. It was at Easter Road he scored an OG, I think it was. Was it Easter Road? He punched the ball in the net someplace. I'm sure it was at Hibs.
Yeah, that might have been, yeah.
And we were speaking about it then. It's like this goalie that you have signed. I mean, we all seen it from the moment that we seen him that he's going to be doing things like that. He's going to do some mad shit through the season, but you can take it when he's kind of producing some of the saves he's been making. To be honest with you, if you have to take away all the things I've said about John McCracken and look at John McCracken in isolation of this season, you could kind of level the same thing at him, because John McCracken has been pretty decent this season in terms of shot stopping, but you know that he's got that error in him. I know that most goalies are like that. Maybe how is Kucherenko relatively young, like maybe early 20s?
Yeah, I think he's 24.
Yeah, so him and McCracken are at a similar age where I think goalies probably mature more towards their late 20s, early 30s. They're a wee bit different outfield players. They'll probably grow into the reliability is probably the best way to describe it, and cut out a lot of the wee stupid errors that they make. Yeah, I mean, as just going back to what we were speaking about right at the beginning, if it's hit off his back from hitting off the post, then there's not too much the guy can do about it, is it?
No, not at all. Like, he's obviously going to make the effort to stop the ball from going in the net anyway. If it goes past him, it goes past him. He's not going to have less than half a second to react to the ball bouncing off the post and hitting off his back. So, it's unfortunate, but it happens.
So that, with us obviously a way to hit the international break, that brings the end to a fairly tough run of fixtures for both of the teams, to be honest with you. I mean, even after the international break, we've got two or three tough games. Who's it United are up against after the international games?
We've got Falkirk at home. Tough game. They're flying, mate. I said it to you at the start. The continuity of the team will be a strong point for them, and it seems like they're doing really well so far. So it's a tough game for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Falkirk have done what every team that. So at the beginning of the season, I was quite big on when I was making my predictions. I thought there'd be a bit of a mini league towards the bottom of the league. So I thought ourselves, Livingston, Falkirk, Motherwell, and Kilmarnock would be down there. And to be honest with you, even though everybody thinks Motherwell are the second coming of Real Madrid, like I keep taking the piss out of, they probably will be down there. I think they'll probably be the best of the five, but they're sort of like a wee mini league. Falkirk have had fixtures against those teams recently. They've had us at home, they've had Kilmarnock at home, they've had Livingston at home, and they've done exactly what you would want to do. They've taken almost maximum points. They've taken 7 points from 9 in that 3 home games. Now, when that sort of fixture list comes around for Dundee, they'll take 3.
Yeah.
That's Dundee's problem. They need to win these games at home. Now, in the time that we've had Aberdeen away, Celtic at home, Hearts away, Rangers at home, Falkirk have had that same 3 fixtures. Now, obviously, one of our games was against Falkirk, but it was away from home. Blah blah blah. So, I think when Falkirk have obviously got the points on the board now, and that's obviously massively important. But it'll be interesting to see how many points they pick up when the harder fixtures come back round again.
Yeah, that's true.
And
You're
going to
obviously
Tannadice is a harder fixture.
It is. I don't think we've been as good as what everyone's making us out to be honest. I think we've only got 2 wins so far this season. 11 games in, it's not really good enough. A lot of draws in that. Also, a couple of defeats as well. But, like you say, Falkirk are getting the results against the teams that they need to get the points against. Dundee are getting points against the teams they're not expected to get the points against. And, like, you get a point against Rangers, you get a win against Celtic. Like, you're not expected to win these games, but when you're coming up against your Killys, your Motherwells, your Falkirks, you don't seem to be getting the results. And I think that's what's going to put Falkirk in good stead this season, because they're the games you need to be winning. The points against, like, there's games against Rangers and Celtic, you're not expecting anything from them, so they're bonuses, but your bread and butter is the teams around you that you should be beating every week.
Yeah, and I was, as I say, if I was to put Dundee's league into simple terms, if they were to win games against all those teams I suggested, your Motherwell, Livy, Falkirk, Killie, I think if they win more games against them than lose against them, they've got every chance of staying up, because they could pull a result out against Celtic like you've seen. Obviously, we'll touch on in a minute, they didn't do that yesterday, but they're capable of it. They go to Ibrox and get a point. They beat Celtic. Like, they're more than capable of doing that when they're playing on their game. So yeah, but we'll move since we've touched on that, we'll move on to that Rangers at Dens now. I was out on Saturday night, as you well know, and it was a late one. And thankfully the game wasn't a 12 o'clock kick-off on Sky. It was a wee bit later, because I think if it was 12 o'clock I was never managing that. But we managed to get ourselves there, and to be honest with you, I don't know if you've ever experienced this at the football. I've experienced this quite a few times as a Dundee supporter. If you're sitting watching it and you just think to yourself, I'd rather be anywhere but here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was sat there, and even before the match started, I was just like, I had no enthusiasm for it whatsoever. All that enthusiasm that came from beating Celtic, first time you've seen it, first time they beat them since the 80s at Dens, you then go to Falkirk and you're 1-0 up, you should have had a penalty, they should have had a man sent off. All that's irrelevant. All this shoulda, woulda, coulda. They lost the match, right? And they only have themselves to blame for losing the match. They then go to Hearts. I wasn't obviously at the match myself. They get a bit of a doing, and then they play Rangers, and all the enthusiasm from that Celtic game was totally wiped out. And then Rangers go 2-0 up within 15 minutes. It got to the stage where, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but Rangers went 3-0 up in the first half, and then it went to VAR to check for it was like an offside for interfering with play, so the referee had to go and check it. And I was actually thinking to myself, I'd like this to stand so that I could leave.
I can't say I've ever heard that, to be honest. But
Like, I've got a bit of a 3-and-goal rule. If it's in the first half, I'll sometimes not. But if it's 3-0, I do tend to leave. I know that there's a lot of people who hate people leaving early. My rationale for it is that I'd rather, once I'm out of that environment, once I'm out the stadium, I don't tend to get myself angry about it anymore. Like, at the match, I'll be angry, I'll be disappointed, I'll be whatever. But once I'm away from that, I'm really not that bothered. And yesterday proved that. But I'll tell you what, actually, just a wee side note. So, I drove into the town after the match to meet a couple of my mates. We're watching the Liverpool Man City game. And as I walked into the pub, obviously, I think I've said it before, I do like watching Liverpool. And Liverpool scored as soon as I walked in the pub, and it got disallowed. I'm thinking, what's that been disallowed for? And, I mean, it's a bit of a joke decision, in all honesty. So I was pissed off about watching that, but I wasn't pissed off about the Dundee game. But I do understand folk who like to be there to the bitter end. That's their prerogative. But if we're Dundee are getting absolutely horsed, it's better for my state of mind to just be out of there.
yeah, there's no point in staying and watching a game that you're not going to want to watch. I mean, it's your money in the day. If you want to spend the 20, 30 quid or whatever it would be to go see the game, and you're not getting entertained by it, and it's your prerogative as to whether you stay or go.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always the chance a comeback could happen. The chances are probably not. especially against Rangers. But you never know. But like you say, it's your choice end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, going through the match, I mean, Dundee, for whatever reason, I don't think I've noticed them doing it this season so far. If they have been, then I've obviously not picked up on it. But they decided to go zonal marking yesterday from corners, and I mean, every single time the ball went in the box, Rangers looked like they were going to score. And Nico Raskin, I mean, obviously he's small in stature, but he's very good in the air, and they leave him running into the box totally unmarked. Free header, 1-0. The
Yeah, it was
second
poor.
goal, the second goal's no great either defensively. I mean, obviously Clark Robertson's been playing in the middle of a three with Astley and Graham for most of the season. Cometio and uh, Aaron Donnelly have had to kind of bide their time. I think he fancies Cometio more than Aaron Donnelly, but after that, oh my god, I don't know about that Cometio. There's obviously something about him because he's been signed for Liverpool and whatnot, but I mean, in my opinion, he's just not good enough. And I can't get my head around how he's playing ahead of Aaron Donnelly. I know that I seem like I like Aaron Donnelly and obviously show bias towards him, but uh, he's just I just didn't think the boy Cometti was good enough for the level that we're playing at. And Clark Robertson was a miss yesterday, definitely. I mean, he's obviously experienced in that back three, essentially playing a back five with three young boys. I mean, Ashley's relatively young. Luke Graham's a teenager, I think, still. Maybe he's 20 now. And the boy Samuels looks like he won his football career on a cereal box. He's absolutely hopeless. But yeah, Clark Robertson's like the experienced guy who's Marshall in the defence. But yeah, he was a miss. Simon Murray dropped. Presley says because he wanted to play Aqua. What a decision that was. He is hopeless. I mean, I seen somebody tweeting saying that they were a overweight ex-smoker and they reckon that they could close down better than Aqua.
That slow, is he?
He's absolutely honking. Absolutely honking it, honestly. I didn't understand why they didn't just play the boy Ashe. He played at Ibrox and he was alright. But then I think the tactic was clearly to get the best out of Simon Murray with half an hour to go, rather than playing him for the start and hooking him after an hour because he's injured. He's playing with an injury. Just give him half an hour, him and Danda. But by the time he's on, the game's done. And I've said this before, like, I think Dundee are the only team in the world who are able, like, who sign big strikers and they're always honking. So, like, you've got St Mirren who'll sign Mandron, they'll sign Ayunga. Now, they didn't score loads and loads of goals, but they contribute in other ways. You had Motherwell and they had Van Veen. All these different teams in the league who, you go back years ago, United had John Daly. Like, throughout the years I've watched football in Scotland, all the different teams have had their go at a big striker. They might not be the most mobile, they might not be the best technically, but they always contribute in their own way. Every time Dundee sign one, they're always shite.
Yeah. I cannot remember a good big striker you've had.
No. No, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I really, really would have to think about it. I mean, even if they're not good in the air, like, even if they were just good in the air, sorry, if they just stood there and bullied, like the boy Ak was 6'4", 6'5". All I would ask him to do, he doesn't have to be technically good. He doesn't have to just make sure that the centre half that he pins when the ball's played into him either doesn't win the ball cleanly or he gets fouled. He doesn't do any of that. He can't lay it off. He tries to dribble around people. Can't do that. I mean, I don't know what I sit here and absolutely rip into the guy, but he's just not good enough. Just not good enough.
Yeah. Speaking of Simon Murray, has he been injured all season? Because I feel like he's not produced the output that you'd expect from him.
Yeah, I think he's been carrying something pretty much the whole season. Yeah, I think he's only scored one league goal. But I do think he's been carrying something for the majority of the season, yeah.
Fair.
But no, but the thing is with Simon Murray is that Simon Murray's a service striker, isn't he? I mean, for as much pace as he's got, and he'll get about the pitch and harass defenders and whatever. Simon Murray's game isn't to get the bar and run at a back four, take on a man and score, like create himself a goal. So he's a poacher's player in the box striker, isn't he? And he's relying on service, and Dundee are not giving him,
Yeah.
And funnily enough, yes, the boy Congreve's obviously our most creative player, and the problem we've got with him now is that the teams are now seeing what he did against Celtic, what he did in previous matches, and they're just playing off him. They're playing two men on him. They'll show him down the right. They're figuring out what to do with him. So you then need him to create more magic or other players to step up. They played Tony Ugan from the start yesterday, and you know what? Tony Ugan has got all the ability in the world, Jack. He could get past the man with relative ease. He's a big, powerful young man, and he's a good player, but his final ball is really, really poor. Like, the amount of times yesterday that he got past his fullback, or he got past Tavernier, or he got past the winger he was playing up against, and he crossed the ball, and it was just cleared. And I know that the final ball is the hardest thing for the winger to produce, and he's only like 19 and it'll probably come later in his career, but we need it now.
Yeah,
and it's just not happening. But in all honesty, saying that, and I know this is probably going to sound stupid after what I've said, it was probably his best game for us yesterday.
Ugan,
yeah. He looked lively. He looked like something could happen. As I say, that final ball was just not there. Yeah, it was.
I think that's just purely.
One.
I feel like beating your man as a winger is probably the harder thing to do, to be honest with you. So if he's got that, then I feel like the easier thing to do is to somehow get that end product sorted. Like, I feel like that's just a decision-making problem rather than a technical issue.
See, the thing that I've always thought, now when I don't know if I just had like this false sense of what the past is like, or was like, but I feel like when I watch football young and as a younger guy, especially at top level football, when you would watch the Champions League, you had dribblers more predominant than you do now. When I think back of watching Dundee teams, I'm not boys like Gavin Swankie. I mean, Gavin Swankie played in the first division for Dundee. I'm not saying that he was any sort of superstar, but he got on the ball and ran at players and made things happen. And 99 times out of 100 or 9 times out of 10 it wouldn't work, but the one time it would work and something would happen. And that's what I think of a winger is. Like, when we had McMullen, you guys obviously had him as well, he was a classic winger. Get the ball, dribble past the fullback, cross the ball in the box. Now, wingers, for me, are the only players that I can forgive. Like, if they're trying to make something happen, I'll never ever shout at them, never ever get annoyed at them, because they'll get you a goal now. They'll get you a goal eventually.
Yeah.
And as I say, Paul McMullen could get the ball to the byline or dribble the ball out or put the ball over the goal and out for a goal kick 99 times. But that 100th time, he'll create a goal.
The thing with Paul McMullen is, I feel like if he had an end product, mate, he wouldn't have been playing at us. He'd have been at a higher level than us, because he did have that ability to get past the player and get into positions to create chances. He just his decision making was not there.
Yeah, and the thing that I liked about Paul McMullen, and I like about the boy Ugan, and I wish they would do it further on, is that they'll just get the ball and run. Because see what I think now, and I sit there and watch this all the time. Players don't know how to handle somebody running at them, right? And with it being the easiest thing in the world nowadays to get a free kick, like, you just have to stand in front of somebody and fall over and you get a foul nowadays. It should be absolute paradise for dribblers. So Ugan, there was one in the second half in particular where he took the ball on the outside. He was playing left side. He took the ball down the outside. He cut back rimmed onto his right foot and almost did a 360, and then went round the other way again, like took the long route round and beat the boy with his pace. Now, he's now past the boy. he's crossed it, right? See, rather than doing that, just keep running. Just keep running, just keep running. And I think there was an occasion where he done something similar and he got a foul. But if you keep running, inevitably the fullback's fouling you before you get in the box. So you're going to get a free kick. And then you've got a proper chance of getting the ball in the box as opposed to taking a cross whilst at pace. But you didn't see that anymore, especially with centre midfielders. I would love it if a centre midfielder just kept on carrying it. I think that's one of the things that separates like your top players from the players that we watch every week, where the top players know when to release it, whereas the boys at our level don't know when to release it. They'll release it wrong times the majority of the time. That's why they're playing Dundee and Dundee United. But if they carried the ball longer, the chances of them setting up a goal increase because they'll get to the edge of the box before somebody's wanting to even engage with them. You see it with Ethan Hamilton quite a lot. He'll get the ball and drive, but he'll release it too quickly. He just needs to keep going, in my opinion.
Yeah, put the pressure on the defenders. Give him an option.
Decision.
Either come down and close the ball, close the player down, or keep retreating. And if he keeps retreating, just keep moving forward with the ball.
Exactly. You see it all the time, and they release the ball far too quickly, in my opinion. And then what happens is that they'll release it to usually to one of the wingers, one of the players who's ran wide, and all that's happened is that they've just basically moved responsibility onto the winger for the winger to then carry the ball 40 yards rather than carrying the ball an extra 20 yards yourself. And then the pass that you're playing is into the box or for a striker to hit it, or you're playing it wide for a winger to take one touch and it's in the box. Like their first touch is whipping the ball across the goal.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, Dundee got beat 3-0 yesterday. Wasn't a good day at the office. The next game is at Easter Road against Hibs, so it doesn't get any easier. Thankfully, over Christmas, the fixtures kind of get a wee bit more... I wouldn't go as far as saying easier, because that's disrespectful, but the fixtures get a wee bit more kinder over the Christmas period, thankfully. And then we've got United at Tynecastle and the Derby at New Year, but no, it's still looking good just now. It really isn't. But we'll cover the rest of the card from the weekend. On Saturday it was Falkirk 1, Livingston 1. Falkirk must just be sick of the sight of Livingston. They just can't beat them, can they?
No.
And then the evening game was St Mirren 0, Hibs 3, which is a bit of a surprising one. Moving on to Sunday, Aberdeen 1, Motherwell 1. Dundee 0, Rangers 3. Hearts 1, United 1. And Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. Now I think that cuts the gap at the top of the league to 7 points, and
it
Celtic
does.
have a game in hand, so they win their game in hand, 4 points.
Game of hands against us.
Is it?
Yep.
Well, they beat you guys, cut the gap down to 4 points, and then that 8 points that they were ahead of when they got beat at Tynecastle's half straight away, isn't it?
Yeah.
It changes very quickly.
The pressure gets put on Hearts very quickly if Celtic win that game in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. But what we'll do is we will now look at the score prediction kind of competition that me and you have got on now. When we last done it, it was the United St Mirren Falkirk Dundee games, and overall we were both leveling with points with 1 point apiece. Now, if I am right in saying this, we've done it for the Hearts Dundee game and the Motherwell United game. Now, for the Hearts Dundee game, I went for 3-0 Hearts, you went for 2-0 Hearts. Both got the scoreline incorrect, but the result correct. So we both got a point. For the Motherwell United game, I went with 2-2 and you went with 1-0 United. And it was 2-0 Motherwell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so both incorrect on both counts there. So we're both now up on to 2 points. I'll put that result on screen now. This time what we'll do is we will cover the score predictions for what we're next going to talk about, which is the upcoming Scotland World Cup qualifiers. So we'll hold off for that for a couple of seconds. First of all, Jack, we're playing Greece, which is on Saturday night at 7:45 or 8 o'clock, quarter to 8. So I'll expect you to be sitting in front of your telly on Saturday night with that on. You could tell your missus that Strictly's off on Saturday. It's the Scotland-Greece game.
I don't think that'll happen.
And on the following Tuesday, we're at Hampden against Denmark. Now, what we'll do is we'll run through the squads first of all for Scotland and then for our opponents Greece and Denmark. So there's been a wee bit of a change due to injuries for the squad already. So the original squad was the goalies for Scott Bain, Craig Gordon and Liam Kelly, defenders Josh Doig, Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, Aaron Hickey, Ross McCrory, Scott McKenna, Anthony Ralston, Andy Robertson, John Suter and Kieran Tierney. Midfielders were Ryan Christie, Lewis Ferguson, Ben Gannon-Doak, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay and Lennon Miller. And forwards, Che Adams, Lyndon Dykes, George Hurst and Lawrence Shankland. Now, as of today, the squad update, so out has went Lennon Miller and Ross McCrory, presumably through injury, and in is coming Andy Irving and Connor Barron. The Scotland national team Twitter has also said that Billy Gilmore is not going to travel to the training camp in Turkey, so he's not going to be playing in the game against Greece. But it doesn't say that he's out for the Denmark game, so I'd assume that means he's staying in Scotland and going through treatment and then joining up with the squad when they're back from Greece. So it's about as strong a squad as we could hope for.
Yeah, it's a shame to lose Billy Gilmore in that.
Yeah,
especially for the Greece game.
Definitely, but thankfully we've got Lennon, not Lennon Miller, he's out as well. We've got Lewis Ferguson, should I say, back from suspension, so he'll probably go in for for Billy Gilmore, and it's probably the strongest area of the pitch for us as well. We've got McTominay, we've got John McGinn, we've got Lewis Ferguson, we've got Ryan Christie if he used to play deeper where he's been playing for Bournemouth, so losing him isn't a disaster in terms of it could have been Aaron Hickey and then the drop-off's bigger to the next player. But what I'm most concerned about is the goalies, because we've got two goalies who aren't playing and Scott Bain, who's not been in the squad for 6 years. It's a bit of a tricky one. I would assume that Angus Gunn's injured.
But even then, Angus Gunn doesn't play for Nottingham Forest, so
I know it's a really tricky one for Steve Clarke, to be honest with you, because I mean, out of the three of them, who would you play? Personally, I would play Craig Gordon. I know he's about 140, but I would play him.
I mean, if you're going based off of experience in that, then you choose Craig Gordon. But Scott Bain's the player that's playing games just now, so it's hard. He's obviously going to be a lot more match fit and match sharp than Craig Gordon is. But I think you go with Craig Gordon on this one.
I just wish that Liam Kelly would go and play regular games again like he was at Motherwell, because I think he's a good goalie.
Good shot stopper.
I've always liked Liam Kelly when he was at Motherwell, and he was at Livy as well, but obviously he went to Rangers to be the backup, and that's his prerogative. We'll move on to the Greece squad now. Anybody who's listened to this podcast before knows how much I love reading these names, but we'll give it a go. So, one thing I will say is the boy Tynecastle.
Yeah.
Tynecastle, that played for Hibs, has just switched nationality to Greece. He's in their squad, so that's the first time he's been called up for them. Right, anyway, let's go. Vlachodimios, Mandas, Soulakis, Michalinas, Hatstiakos, Retsos. I'm so happy I'm not the announcer at Hampden. Koulirakis, Rota, that's a good one. Vaganidis, Gianoulis, Simicus, Siopis, Safaris, Mantalos, Kurabilis, Muzakitis, Karesis, Solis, he's a good player. Masuris, Konstantilius, Iandilis, Pavlidis, Koustalas, and Triantis. The boy
Bless you.
Caritas is the wee winger boy. That's the wee 17-year-old guy who's good, isn't he?
Yeah, they've got quite a few good attacking options in that team.
And the boy Solis is obviously he was very good when we played them the last time as well.
Pavlidis, obviously,
Pavlidis, yeah,
top class striker.
So, nae mugs. We've obviously played them on Saturday in Athens. I think the way that it will work, if you're not aware, Jack, is if we get a draw in Athens, we can go into the Denmark game knowing that if we win, we've qualified. Obviously, Denmark are at home to Belarus on Saturday, and they're not going to lose that or draw that. So they'll win that comfortably. Our goal difference is already far inferior to theirs. I think it's about 7 or 8 goals now. So we're going to have to rely on finishing above them in points. They're going to rack up the goals. We're not going to go to Greece and score loads. So take a point every day of the week and get back. Now, obviously, we're all sitting here thinking how good a side Greece are. No denying it. Greece are a good side. But we went to Athens in March and won 1-0. We played very well in the first half. I know that it was a bit backs to the wall in the second half, but we've shown that we can go there and win. So a draw is not out of the question, is it?
It's not. Always harder to go away and play in another nation, especially with the pressure that'll be on to get a result. And like you say, Greece are a good team. They've got good players. We got the result against them in the previous international window. But you've just got to hope that the boys can go out there and somehow get the result we need.
Absolutely. I know that as Scottish people, we've got this like inbuilt glass half empty approach to life in general, never mind just sport. If we were American, like what I've just experienced last week, we would be sitting here thinking we're going to win 8-0 because they're the most enthusiastic people I've ever met in my life. See, sitting at that NFL game, by the way, oh my God, they are so enthusiastic, it's unbelievable. But yeah, going back to the proper football, the Scottishness in us makes us just dread it. I think it was when we played Denmark in the first game of the group. Kasper Schmeichel got interviewed after the match by Scottish TV, and he was almost telling us to believe in ourselves a bit more because we've got good players. See, if you go through the Greece team compared to our team, player by player, if you were to play best 11 against theirs, you could probably argue that more of our players are getting to their team than their players getting to our team.
Yeah, I can see that. Attacking wise, maybe not, but like
attacking wise in the goalie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going through every single name there again that I can't read. I'm pretty sure the centre half that plays for West Ham's no there. And he played at Hampden. So that's a starting centre half that's no there. And obviously they've got nothing to play for, Greece.
Very true.
They're out.
But they might try and want to be a party pooper though.
Yeah, of course they are. They're not going to turn up and try and get beat. They're going to play, but they'll not have that edge.
Yeah.
Moving on to the game on Tuesday night at home to Denmark. Now, the last time Denmark were at Hampden, it was also the last game of the last World Cup qualifying campaign. Unfortunately, that time we were already out of the contention for automatic qualification, but we did secure a home playoff by beating them 2-0. And it was probably one of my favourite Scotland games that actually were absolutely excellent that day. They had a lot of their big players missing, but so did we. And we played very, very well that night and won 2-0, deservedly so. The atmosphere was brilliant. It was a midweek game as well. We'll just run through their team, and thankfully Scandinavian names are a wee bit more easier to read. So they've got Kasper Schmeichel, Mads Hermansson, Philip Jorgensen, Yannick Vestergaard, Joachim Andersen, Andreas Christiansen, Lucas Hogsberg, Victor Nelson, Rasmus Nielsen Christiansen, Patrick Dorgu, Nicholas Narte, Christian Norgard, Victor Frohold, Pierre-Emile Højberg, Morten Humand, Philip Billing, Matt O'Reilly, Mikael Damsgaard, Christian Eriksen, Anders Dreyer, previously of Sandeman, Gustav Isaksen, Jonas Vind, William Usula and Rasmus Højlund. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's clearly a better team than ours, in my opinion. Most of them, a lot of them players play in the top 5 leagues. A lot of their midfield are Premier League teams, well, playing Premier League teams. It's a big ask. I think they like you say, they've already got the goal difference going for them. So we need to go out there and win it. We can't go out there. Well, we can go out, yeah, we need to win it, essentially. And I think we might struggle, especially if Billy Gilmore's not fit for that game either. We've obviously lost another couple of boys as well to injury. Lennon Miller probably doesn't play a part anyway, but it's still a blow to lose him. I think I feel like our backs will be against the wall against Denmark, but you can only hope. And we've had results against bigger teams in Denmark before, so there's no reason why we can't get the results we need.
Absolutely. I think Denmark are the last 3 teams they've beaten Ham in 2 friendlies and a qualification game. We've beat them all 3 times. So, as much as they are a good team, no doubt about that, they've got loads of individually good players. I think it's out with the realms of possibility that we can beat them, especially at home. Played very well in Copenhagen. I think I'm maybe a bit too confident and too defensive about this particular Scotland team. I really, really think we've got a good team, and I stick up for them maybe a bit more than I should sometimes, and hope for more than what they probably can produce. Obviously, they've done very well in qualification under Steve Clarke. It's when they get to the tournaments they really let themselves down, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe a bit too negative when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously in Germany, was at the second and third group games, and it was disappointing. I mean, when we were there, I mean, some of the things that you were hearing about, like, for example, so Lyndon Dykes was injured. When we played Spain at Hampden and beat Spain, Lyndon Dykes was playing up front, and he was excellent, right? Now, Lyndon Dykes is limited, right? He plays for Birmingham in the Championship. He's no Cristiano Ronaldo, right? But for the way that Scotland play, he's absolutely perfect, and I guarantee you he'll play on Saturday. I guarantee you. He's absolutely perfect for the way that we play. He's a focal point. He wins his headers. The ball sticks to him and he lays it off to the midfielders and gets them in. Boys like Doak, McGinn, etc. Now, when we went to the Euros, we didn't have him. And we had Adams, Shankland, and Conway, I think, was the other striker. Maybe we had another one as well. But they were definitely 3 strikers that we had. None of them are like him, Now, out of all the players we have, Adams is the best striker out of the M3. It's just a fact. He plays in Serie A, and everybody was pining over Shankland. Now, he's just off the back of a really good season for Hearts. He's probably a better goal scorer than Adams, but if you put Adams at Hearts, he'd score plenty of goals. Now, when we were in Germany, he started Adams in all 3 matches. I would have done the same. But his problem was, in my opinion, that he didn't put Shankland on until it was far too late in the match. We were playing Switzerland in Cologne. We were the better team that night, in my opinion, and we probably should have won the game. We're unlucky not to, hit the post and whatnot. I think he brought on Shankland in like the 88th minute. and that's just far too late when you're looking for a goal. We then go to Stuttgart to play Hungary, who are shite, by the way. Absolutely terrible. We need to win 1-0. That's all we need to do. We just need to win the match. And he waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and brought them on. Now, in the end, he waits and waits and waits, and they score in the 100th minute. Now, I'd rather they were 3-0 up by then, but would have went and tried to win the game, because they won the game 1-0, and the most annoying thing about it was they went out anyway.
Yeah.
So if we had went for it with 20 minutes to go rather than 5 minutes to go, or whatever it was that he brought his strikers on, and got beat 2 or 3-0, then he would have got, in my opinion, more leeway for the press. They would have probably given him more rope, because he'd attempted to have a go. He'd gambled, as opposed to being rigid. And he was bringing on boys like Kenny McLean and you're like, he's not going to win us this game.
No.
Whereas Kenny McLean's got an attribute of what he does in the midfield, but he's not going to get the ball and win you the match. Anyway,
bringing on a player like Shankland, or any player really, on the 88th minute, you're not going to have a big impact in the 3 minutes you're on the pitch.
Nah.
So you need to bring them on earlier, give them time to adjust to the speed of the game, and then see if they can make a difference or not.
Absolutely. But what we'll do, Jack, is we'll do our scores for these games. So first of all, you can call the Greece game first. What do you reckon?
Right, I'm going to be a classic Scotsman here. I'm going to say we'll get beat. I'm going to say we'll get beat 2-0.
Okay. So we're going to go into the Denmark game with nothing to play for. That's just great. I'm going to say one each. So I'll call the Denmark game first, and I'll say 2-1 Scotland, and we're going to America. What do you think?
I'll go 1-1 for that game.
1-1, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So 1 point out of a possible 6. That's great. So
still a playoff place though, no?
Yeah, we've guaranteed the playoff place already.
Yeah.
So I've went 1-1 and 2-1, and you've went 2-0 and 1-1. Right, okay,
Yep.
I'll just make sure that I've got that down. Okay, now that moves us on nicely to our latest edition of the monthly top 5. This week, what we've done is we've went for the best players that we've seen in Scotland. Now, the only criteria that this has is that the players have to have played in Scotland for a Scottish club. So I could have went for Messi, I could have went for Ronaldo because I've seen him at Hampden. All the players I've seen play at Hampden for other nationality teams against Scotland. They have to have played in the SPL or have to have played for a Scottish side. So, Jack, you can go up next. Go up first, should I say. Who's number 5 for you?
Okay, so I've done this based off of who, like, not just their time in Scotland, but their whole career. Because I had a bit of liberty in that. It's not necessarily just that, but I've done it based, like, some players are in here based off of their career. So number 5 went Andy Robertson. Obviously, I don't think anyone could have expected what he's went on to achieve when he played for United or Queen's Park. He was obviously only at United for a year, but he was clearly a very, very, very talented player, and he's only exceeded expectations with that. Champions League winner with Liverpool, won the Premier League with Liverpool. He's probably, or was, one of the best left backs in the world. So it'd be stupid for me not to include him in the list.
Okay. So I've went for players who I've seen in Scotland and thought they are a good player. Like, I've not taken into consideration what they've went on and done or what they've done before. It's purely I've looked at them and thought they're a good player. So number 5 for me might be a wee bit out the box, but James Maddison. I saw him playing for Aberdeen twice, I think, maybe once. But the one time I can absolutely guarantee that I did see him was at Dens, and known that Aberdeen had signed a guy called Madison on loan fee. I think it was maybe Norwich at the time. And I'd seen it like on Sky Sports or whatever. Never took any notice of it because I didn't know who he was. And I then seen him and he scored. Now, Scott Bain flogged the goal that he scored at Dens, but I just remember thinking, wow, who is this? He just looked a level above everybody else on the pitch. He was so trick. Dundee players couldn't get near him. Now, I know that that's not really the biggest compliment you can give somebody. Dundee players not being able to get near them. But he just looked a step above everybody else on the pitch. He's went on to have a very good career. He's played for Spurs, he's played for Leicester, played for England. He's maybe not the biggest superstar that I've seen playing in Scotland, but from the impact of seeing him and thinking, oh my God, he gets into my top 5 at number 5. What about you? Who's number 4?
So, number 4, I think I've maybe only seen him once, maybe twice, when I was a bairn, so I can't really talk about how good he was or anything. I remember him being a very good player. He ended up moving to the English Premier League and doing well there, and that is Stilian Petrov for Celtic. Bulgarian captain. I remember him moving to Aston Villa and doing well there. He was obviously part of the Celtic team in the early noughties who were very successful, and he was. I feel like I remember him being a very good player, and so I've put him in at number 4.
Yeah, Stilian Petrov was a very good player. For me, number 4, I've went for somebody who, again, maybe people might think he's not deserving of this, but he was very, very underappreciated for me, and that was Barry Ferguson. Really, really, really underappreciated in my opinion, but he was a very good player, Barry Ferguson. And if it wasn't for the fact that he absolutely loved Rangers, and this isn't a criticism, if it wasn't for the fact that he loved Rangers, he could have went on and played high level in England. He obviously went to Blackburn when he was a wee bit younger, and he did get a bit of a bad injury, and he ended up back at Rangers 18 months later. But then he went down after his whole thing with the Scotland thing that he got him punted for Rangers. He went down and played for Birmingham, won a trophy for Birmingham, captained Scotland for years. I just think he was very, very underappreciated as a player, Barry Ferguson. So yeah, that's my number 4. Who's number 3 for you?
Number 3 for me, this is another one he was a good player when he was like here. Another one that's more career based though, and it's Virgil van Dijk. Once again, Champions League winner with Liverpool, Premier League winner with Liverpool. You've seen him when he was at Celtic, and he was really, really composed on the ball. Like, he looked so calm at the back. He just seemed to stroll it, and I think pretty quickly people realised how good of a player he was and how much of a bargain Celtic had got for him. So I think they paid £2 million for him, and I'm sure, I think it was Neil Lennon at the time was his manager. He was surprised that he was the only coach, or he was the only team that had a scout at his game. So he thought he must have signed a dud, but he never, and he's obviously went on to have a great career. One of the best centre-backs in the world, if not the best centre-back in the world at his time, at his peak. And yeah, just a really, really good centre-back. So number 3 is Virgil van Dijk.
Okay. Number 3 for me is a player that I actually seen playing against United. When I was younger, I played in the United's J League, and one of the things that you would do for the J League is you would play at half time a couple of United games a season, or one United game a season. Because obviously playing at half time you would get a ticket to the match. And it was a Celtic game at Tynecastle, and a particular Craig Bellamy was playing. He scored the hat trick, and he was absolutely outstanding in that game. But that was an unusual one where he came to Scotland on loan for 6 months at a time in his career where he was no place near finished. After he left Celtic, he obviously, I think he'd fallen out with Souness at Newcastle, and he was on loan at Celtic for 6 months. After he left Newcastle, he had two spells at Liverpool. He played at Man City when they'd started getting other money. He played for West Ham, played for Blackburn, played for Cardiff another 10 years, I think, at least in the English Premier League. So, yeah, he scored the hat-trick that day, and a couple of the goals he scored were absolute crackers. So, yeah, Craig Bellamy for me, number 3. Number 2 for you?
Number 2, this could be controversial. I've went Chris Boyd, mate. He's scored a lot of goals. He scored basically every week for Rangers. And he was a bigger boy, eh? So I think if he was fitter, he would have been probably playing at a much higher level than he was. But there's no doubt in his ability. He scored goals for fun for Rangers, and obviously made loads of appearances for Scotland as well. So yeah, number 2, Chris Boyd.
Don't tell Martin about that. You'll start calling him, what was it, pathetic he called him. Number 2 for me, you've mentioned him already, but it was Virgil van Dijk. He was at Celtic for 2 years and then he played the beginning of the next season at Celtic. I seen him in his second full season, and I remember Dundee played Celtic about 4 or 5 games in, and they were still full of confidence, newly promoted team. Hartley had them playing really good stuff, and we played Celtic at Dens, and they were a bit here, there, and everywhere. That it was Ronnie Dyla's first season there, and they obviously went through a bit of transition after Neil Lennon leaving. And Virgil van Dijk didn't play that game, must have been injured or whatever. And Dundee absolutely battered Celtic and drew 1-1. They really did. It's probably the best I've ever seen Dundee play against Celtic, and obviously they didn't even win the match. They were excellent. Philip Roberts was playing right wing, and he absolutely roasted Izagirre. Then Martin Boyle came on at half-time or in the second half and roasted Izagirre again. There had numerous chances to win the game, didn't win the game. Craig Gordon was unbelievable in goal for them. But then we played them later in the season, and obviously they'd begun to click by then, and he played. I think we played them in a Scottish Cup match. He played that day, and I just remember thinking, this guy isn't even trying. He just walked about the pitch, just strolled it. We then played them again later in the season in a league game, and he scored the free kick. Scott Bain was in the goal for Dundee, and it was past him before he even dived. Honestly, it was just an absolute. It was like the whistle blew and the ball hit the net. It was that fast. So yeah, that Virgil van Dijk's number 2 for me. I would say who's your number 1, but I think we're both going to have the same person.
Yeah, it's the so-called King of Kings, Henrik Larsson. There's not much else you can say, really. I think he's number 1 on everyone's list. Henrik Larsson, best player to play in Scotland, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. I think our guys of our age, we're both 29, and I think we probably caught the last 2 or 3 years of him with conscious memory. And also, he signed in. I'm tempted to say he signed in '97, so we were 1.
Yeah.
One or not even 1 when he signed. But I remember from the seasons I started having a season ticket, I seen 3 years of him. And didn't get us wrong, Jack, I can't remember very much about him. There's one particular memory I have where we played Celtic at Dens, and I'm pretty sure it was in a midweek game, and Dundee were really, really good against them, and he didn't have a sniff, and then he scored with like 5 minutes to go and they won 1-0. And that's just the mark of the man. He was outstanding. And then he goes away, he leaves Celtic and goes and wins the Champions League for Barcelona.
And then plays for Man U as well.
Plays for Man United as well. Yeah, so a man who could have played at a higher level if he wanted to, if it wasn't for his loyalty to Celtic. And as I said about Barry Ferguson previously, that's not a criticism for me. If that's what he wanted to do in his career, then power to him. You didn't get a lot of men like that in football, and if he was happy playing for Celtic, being loved by their fans, and still earning decent dough, then mere power to him.
Yeah.
I just one of the things I remember most about him wasn't even him. It was the Celtic supporters. It's the loudest I've ever heard on a away end, and they were singing Henrik Larsson as the King of Kings. Yeah. But
Have you
anyway,
got any honourable mentions?
honourable mentions. No, I don't, but I could list you a few. Maybe Stilian Petrov. You know who I really liked for Hearts? What was his name? Big Dutch striker.
Mark de Vries.
Mark de Vries.
Oh my God, what a legend.
I liked him. He was a good player.
Volendam legend. Let's go.
What about yourself? You got any?
I've got a bunch, mate. I've got, based on career, John McGinn. I've also got Barry Ferguson, Lee Griffiths, Scott Brown, Alexei Eremenko, Rudy Scatchell, Dado Prusso, Stefan Klos, Artur Boric, and Craig Bellamy.
See, boys like Rudy Scatchell, I only seen Rudy Scatchell playing for United.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think at United he was past it at that point, but for Hearts, mate, he was a very good player.
so if you're thinking, I like to call it the Setanta era of Scottish
Mm.
football, when Dundee weren't in the SPL, and we in the house didn't have Setanta. So for years on end, I didn't really watch Scottish football because we didn't have access to watching it on the telly. And your loads of boys from that era of Scottish football really couldn't tell you how good they were because I didn't really get to watch them. You would get to watch Rangers and Celtic occasionally on Sky in the Cup, and you would get to watch Rangers and Celtic in the Champions League, and then there would be a handful of games on BBC in the League Cup and the Scottish Cup as well. There wasn't a whole lot of players from that sort of era that I really can remember. I mean, here's a good one for you actually. Nakamura.
Oh yeah.
Nakamura was, by all accounts, absolutely brilliant. But all I could remember of Nakamura was watching him on YouTube.
Yeah,
Like loads of
his
his
free
clips
kicks.
on YouTube, his free kicks, his goal against Rangers were at the half volley where it starts at one post and ends up at the other. Now, I do think I did see Nakamura once at Parkhead in a Scottish Cup match, but other than that, no. So I go from the era where pre-Setanta, where we had the Sky Sports deal, BBC deal, where Celtic were getting to the UEFA Cup final, and Rangers and Celtic had these really good players, and a lot of the other teams had good players as well. That's probably the best I've seen Scottish football, but I was probably too young to appreciate it. To then
Mm.
come in, Sky Sports then got the rights to the SPL in 2009-ish, and then from then on I've seen it regularly. Dundee got promoted back to the Premier League in 2012 and 2014, and then I've seen onwards. But the standard of Scottish football since then has been pretty shit, to be honest with you. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've got Maddison and Van Dijk in this list. Honourable mentions, you could have Scott Brim. I loved Derek Riordan when he was at Hibs. He's another one. Gary O'Connor,
Yeah.
Kevin Thompson, all these boys. Who have I seen for Hart? You could see boys like Hartley. I did see Hartley, but then Scatchell. You're thinking about like the foreign boys that played for Hearts. Who
Craig Beattie.
I didn't see. I see him play for Dundee and Celtic. But then you're thinking of the foreign boys that played for Hearts, like your Pospasils, your Jankowskis,
Mm.
Scatchell, they had a Portuguese boy in the middle of the park, Aguiar or something like that. Who else? I seen Presley and Webster, they were decent. And then obviously you move on to the Rangers teams from the early 2000s. Now, Rangers had some very good players, but to me, thinking back on it, I've always thought that Celtic have had in inverted commas, superstar, and Rangers at that time had a team full of good players.
Yeah.
So I didn't think Rangers really had a superstar as such. Would have had like Ronald de Boer, Lovenkrands, Arthur Newman, Barry Ferguson, Arteta, who else? Amoruso, Craig Moore. These are all good players.
Michael Moles.
Michael Moles.
Zavalazzi.
Another two very good players.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have classed them as being like superstars. Maybe they are, maybe I'm being unfair, but yeah, that's probably a load of these players will probably be all in my honourable mentions, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll finish off this episode on the Futbology challenge as usual. Now, I did say on the last episode that we were going to have a game from last week. Didn't get round to it, so we'll move on to this week. Now, as of always, if you're listening on YouTube, I'll put it on screen. There's been a bit of movement. We've had 2 victories for Jack and Martin and a draw for me. McCann/McIntyre season has produced a point for me, so wonders never cease. We'll go in date order, so we'll start with Martin. His game was a friendly match between Dundee and Dundee United at Tannadice. I had to think about what this game actually was. Apparently it was United opening their floodlights. There was half the proceeds went to United's Youth Academy and half went to Dundee's. The game finished 3-1, Tuesday, November the 10th, 2009. The teams were United: Steve Banks, Sean Dillon, Paul Dixon, Darren Dodds, Gary Kenneth, Prince Bobbin, Craig Conway, Scott Robertson, Danny Swanson, Danny Cadamatare and Andis Shala. The bench: Nicky Weaver, Michael Kovacevic, Ross Smith, Keith Watson, Greg Cameron, Ryan McCord, Jennison Myrie Williams, David Robertson, John Daly, David Goodwillie, Dale Hilson and Kevin Smith. And for Dundee, Derek Suter, Eric Payton, Kyle Benedictus, Jim Laughlin, Eddie Malone, Colin Cameron, Richie Hart, Darren Young, Gary Harkins, Pat Clark and Colin McMenamin. And the bench: Forsyth, Rennie, Hutchin, Thompson, Somerville, Bartlett and Spark. The scorers were Shala 18, Daly 68 and Cadamatare 75 and Pat Clark on 34 and a crowd of 7,774. I take it you weren't at that match, Jack?
I wasn't, no.
I
honestly don't know much about it.
I was at the match. I do remember it. But though I think the only thing I do remember was that Pat Clark scored for Dundee, and that didn't happen very often.
I'm not surprised that Andis Shala scoring.
that moves Martin 3 points further up the league. My game was from Saturday, November the 10th, 2018. Dundee against St Mirren, 1-1 draw. The managers were Jim McIntyre and Oran Kearney. Dundee's team, wait till you hear this one: Jack Hamilton, Cammy Kerr, Jinserik Kusunga, Calvin Miller, Darren O'Dea, Nathan Ralph, Jesse Curran, Glenn Kamara, Martin Woods, Benjamin Shalman and Kenny Miller. And on the bench, Elliot Parish, Ryan Innes, Jack Lambert, Paul McGowan, Adil Nabi, Lewis Spence and Sofiane Musa. For St Mirren, Craig Sampson, Paul McGinn, Alfie Jones, Lee Hodgson, Anton Ferdinand, Kyle McGuinness, Ian McShane, Ryan Edwards, Ethan Erahon, Adam Hamill and Simeon Jackson. And on the bench, Danny Rogers, Stephen McGinn, Cammy Smith, Danny Mullen, Jack Baird, Matty Willock and Cody Cook. The scorers were Simeon Jackson on 21 and Kenny Miller on 34, with a crowd of 5,552. Now, the background to this game, Jack, this was the season where Dundee, one of the many seasons that they got relegated, but it was ourselves and St Mirren who were stinking the gaff out, and they'd won one game all season, we'd won one game all season, and we played them at Dens and drew 1-1 obviously, and we ended up getting relegated with like 5 wins all season. They beat you guys in the playoffs, I think, that season. But yeah, that was a poor Dundee team and a poor St Mirren team. But a point picked up for me, which is not to be sniffed at going by previous weeks. Finally, Jack, your game, which was from Friday, November the 10th, 2023, Easton Park for Dunfermline against Dundee United, a crowd of 7,237. The managers James McPake and Jim Goodwin. For Dunfermline, the team Dennis Memmott, Chris Hamilton, Ewan O'Toole, Sam Fisher, Aaron Comrie, Josh Edwards, Joe Chalmers, Paul Allen, Craig Whiting, Owen Moffat and Michael O'Halloran. And on the bench, Harry Sharp, Kane Ritchie Hosler, Matthew Todd, Lewis McCann, Alex Jakubiak, Miller Fenton and Max Little. And for United, Jack Walton, Declan Gallagher, Liam Grimshaw, Kevin Holt, Scott McMahon, Kai Fotheringham, Glenn Middleton, Craig Sibbald, Jordan Tilson, Louis Moult and Tony Watt. And on the bench, Jack Newman, Ollie Denham, Flynn Duffy, Kieran Freeman, Ross Graham, Matthew Kujoanim, Declan Glass, Chris Pockery and Owen Sturton. The scorers, Fotheringham 37, Moffat 53 and Mockery 85. Any memories of the match, Jack?
Yeah, so it was the first away game that I took my partner's, my girlfriend's dad to. Erin went as well, my girlfriend, and it was late at night, pitch black, obviously November time, pretty cold. And what I remember about it is Chris Mockery scoring the goal. He was friends with my wee brother, and it was just really good to see him scoring a goal. And he obviously scored the winner, which was great to see. I was texting my brother afterwards saying, "Oh my God, Chris Mockery scored the goal." Can't believe it. So yeah, that's really all I remember of the game. I don't remember much about anything else of it. But yeah, like that's what I remember is Chrissy Mockery scoring the winner.
Fair dues. Now, as obviously you've been able to see on screen now, Martin is now leading the way on 16 points, Jack 5 behind on 11, and me a further 3 behind on 8. But we are picking up points now after a very, very slow start. Now, obviously we've got the Scotland games coming up. I don't know what we're going to do next week with the Scotland game being on the Tuesday. We may record later in the week and make sure that we've covered Scotland potentially qualifying for the World Cup. I think what we might do is we might hold off until Saturday, Jack, and if we've got a chance of qualifying, we'll hold off. If we don't have a chance of qualifying, then we'll just record as usual on Monday. Now, if the case is that we are having to hold off, then the episode might come out later in the week on Friday as opposed to Thursday, just to give ourselves a chance to edit and get everything sorted. So keep an eye out for that coming out. But everything will be on our socials, which takes me nicely over to what our socials are. On Instagram, we are at the Sandeman Street Pod, at the Sandeman Street Pod. And on Twitter /X, really it is Twitter, we are at Sandeman ST Pod, at Sandeman ST Pod. Give us a follow, tell your pals, tell your family, tell your work colleagues, and if you do choose to listen on YouTube, we would really appreciate you liking our video, subscribing to our channel. We're also available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So I think all that's left to say, Jack, before the end of this episode is come on Scotland. And hopefully on Saturday we can do the business in Athens and set ourselves up for a massive game at Hampden against the Danes. So come on Scotland, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers.